All right, now today's review is going to be about the new sporting gloves. This is the new sporting 14-ounce 2/B model, made in Mexico glove. These are obviously in the neon pink and metallic purple. This has welted seams, and before we get into it, you see that the 14-ounce mark is going to be right here. Welted seams, nice durable Mexican-made leather. When I put these on the scale for the 14 ounces, I was kind of not too surprised. Ultimately, these gloves are going to come in, I think one of them was at 15.1 and one of them was at 14.9. So they're like 15-ounce gloves, and they're marketed as 14-ounce gloves. So they're an ounce over, which is not a humongous deal in my opinion. So yeah. So in terms of my first impressions of the glove, I think it's a beautiful glove. I think the metallic is done really well. I don't like to have metallic on the punch surface, so I definitely like the fact that there's a regular color here instead of a metallic color. It kind of has a nice like semi-gloss finish here, and the leather is kind of a nice soft but really thick durable leather. So when you have this Mexican-made gloves, a lot of the times the favorite part about opening the glove is the smell. You get like this nice, whiff of like this Mexican-made smell, which is really nice. Other things I notice is obviously this thumb pattern here. It's kind of like a triple thumb pattern. It reminds me of a pair of Grant gloves, along with the welted seams, which I think are more durable, and I do appreciate a lot more. This glove, obviously, this nice logo here. I like the logo. My concerns with the logos with the new sporting gloves, though, is that the logos do come off, but I wish they didn't, but it's not the end of the world because it doesn't really affect the glove's performance. So that being said, it really is. Eventually, I feel like these will come off, but as of right now, these ones are doing all right. I have another pair of new sporting gloves that when I first got them, they were already peeling off. So that was a disappointment. It was the horsehair model gloves, but when I use those gloves, they're probably one of my favorite gloves. So I'll do a review on those. But yeah, so in terms of the actual logo peels here. The logo is very durable here. I like this. It looks clean. I like the design. I like the gold. Everything about it kind of, looks like a premium glove. So like I said, 100% cowhide leather, right? Then we have the inner liner, which I believe is a polyester liner on the inside. The padding, which is interesting. I thought it was going to be just latex, but it's actually a latex and polyurethane padding. So it's two different foams here. So I'll get into the consistency of that, but that also reminds me of a pair of Grant gloves as well. Yeah, and in terms of the laces, medium-sized laces, very, very stretchy, really nice laces. So that's my first impression of the glove. I thought, the welted seams, everything kind of looks sharp. The pink is really pops out. It's like a neon pink, really pops out. I got these gloves because my daughter really wanted me to buy a pair of pink gloves. And thank God that the Boxer Boutique was, offering a really good deal on these gloves because they did a mystery box during the holidays. And I was able to actually ask for a pair of pink gloves. I didn't know what glove I was going to receive, but I did get a pair of pink gloves, okay? In terms of the wrist protection, you're going to have a triple cuff here. And this is pretty firm, pretty dense. I would say it's very protective. The top one is pretty softer, but obviously because of the patch here, you're going to feel that this is a little more firm. You're going to see the inside portion of the wrist, which is going to have a really nice, thick, soft padding on the inside portion of the wrist here. Very good wrist protection when it comes to these Mexican-made gloves. A lot of them have this really keeps your hands in such a solid position, which I do like. It has that kind of curvature too as well, like this nice curvy look in a lot of the Mexican-made gloves. The thumb, nice and big thumb. That's kind of the thing that reminds me of Grant the most. The thumb is big. It's kind of pronounced. Even when you put them on, it kind of pushes to the side a little bit. It is kind of pushes out and then comes back in a little bit, but it is a thicker thumb, a bigger thumb. So that's something that, yeah. That's something that I feel like is kind of unique to this glove because it's very pronounced, especially this right glove. You can see that the right glove might even push out a little further than the left glove does. It comes out a little more. So that's another thing with these kind of boutique brands, is that a lot of times they're not perfect with each other. Essentially, they're more of like you know, unique to one another, but they come very close, but they're not always the most perfect glove to each other. Now, in terms of the stitching of the glove, I don't have much complaints. I would say that, you know, this portion of the glove has little frills and, you know, little imperfections on the leather here. Not so much the stitching, and this one doesn't have that. So that's that. So not a huge deal. Like I said, you're talking about a boutique brand, and you got to kind of expect it to not be so perfect. But that's just what it is. In terms of everything else, you see that there's a nice grip bar here. The grip bar is a firm grip bar, and I would say it's in a smaller side, but it's a very firm grip bar. So I do feel it when I put my hands in the glove compartment. And it has a good amount of air holes on the thumb, right? Not onto the fingertip compartment. I wish it had some here, but they have some on the thumb portion. Okay. Now, when it comes to the sizing of the glove, I would say this is pretty much a medium. I wouldn't say it's too small. I wouldn't say it's too compact. I'd say it's like right there. I wouldn't say it's too big for a 14-ounce glove. I got a 14-ounce glove once that was actually the size of my 16-ounce gloves. So I know that there's some 14-ounce glove makers that make gloves to be kind of, you know, pretty large, but these ones are not that. I think that they have a good length to them. In terms of the width, they're not bad. They don't feel big on your hands, you know, but they're not the smallest 14-ounce glove in the world. So, yeah, that's that. In terms of the punch position, you'll see right here, just right off of that the punch position alone is extremely flat without even me trying. It's going to put your hands in a puncher's position. So just keep that in mind when I talk about the feedback of the glove, because that's a big portion of why the feedback is what it is. A flat glove and a flat punch surface makes the pop and the feedback of a glove a lot better. So, yeah. So once you put your hand in the glove, you'll feel that it's not the softest, but it's nice and comfortable. And it feels like you don't really sweat in the glove, right? So my hand's fully in the glove now, right? Automatically in the fist position. I can open my hand when I want to and close it when I want to, so that broken in feeling is really there. So that's no problem there in terms of the broken in feeling. The hand compartment is a little bigger than I anticipated for a 14-ounce glove, which is a little shocking because my fingers kind of swim around in here a little bit. My fingertips are grabbing like a piece of felt that's rolled up where the welted seam is, as you can see. And that acts as a nice grip bar, like a secondary grip bar, and it's very comfortable on the fingertip compartment. Like I said before, once I put my hand in the fist, it's completely flat. So when you get this sensation of, I'll show you the pop in a second. So that's the polyurethane latex. The one thing I will tell you about this is that, watch this. Now, if you don't notice it right now, I'll tell you that this is an extremely soft glove, and it's a puncher's glove. So your fingers, your knuckles are going to pierce through the padding. That's just what it is. It's very soft. It's definitely a puncher's glove. As you can see, I'm pushing down on it really, not that much. So I would say this is soft. I wouldn't even really necessarily call it medium, because I feel like once you start to break them in even more so, it's going to become softer and softer. So puncher's glove, but you don't, you know, in terms of your training, if these were in 16 ounces, I don't think people would be able to say much about it, because they're going to be overweight. And if you were to spar, they're going to be overweight, and the padding will be, like I said, a latex and a polyurethane. So no one's going to really be able to flag your glove and say, oh, it's a horsehair glove, because saying horsehair is pretty much like a big deal in a gym, because people don't like how soft they are. But this one, I would say, is kind of as soft as a horsehair glove. I have some horsehair gloves that aren't even this soft, so just keep that in mind. You know, let's keep that in mind. This is definitely a puncher's glove, and it's definitely a Mexican-made glove. But you know, to each his own. You could use these gloves. I don't see a problem, as long as you know your sparring partners and things like that, they allow you to use them. So in terms of that, the performance on the bag and the mitts, because of this very soft padding, it's crazy. So you want the feedback, and you feel it. Like I feel it on my knuckles. I feel it there. You know, the inside of the hands, especially in these 14 ounces, which I'm surprised. I could actually easily put in some hand wraps and even, knuckle guards while using these gloves without a problem, because the hand compartment, I could even feel my fingers kind of moving in there. I could definitely put those extra things on my hands for more protection if you're worried about how soft they are, especially. But yeah, in terms of that, I think it's a really nice glove. I think that the performance on the bags, obviously, and the mitts are going to be up there. And, obviously, I have never really wanted to hit anybody with a glove that's too soft. So I probably wouldn't use them in terms of sparring, but I don't see the problem in terms of, actually using them for sparring, because they're technically, you're able to spar with them. So I don't think you should be that worried about that. The price of these gloves, which is all the way up and down, I don't really know. Like I said, I got these gloves, Boxer Boutique, $200 mystery box. It came with like 3 other things. And I was able actually to contact the person who owns the Boxer Boutique. And I was able to actually, just say, hey, can you give me a pair of pink gloves? Because my daughter loves pink. And I didn't, like I said, I didn't know what he was going to give me. So he was very nice about that. And he ended up really complying with that, giving me a pair of new sporting gloves, which I really appreciate. Right now, there's a sale on his website where these gloves are like $180 on sale, right? Now that's insane, in my opinion. $180 for a solid Mexican-made glove, a solid glove that looks and kind of feels like a pair of Grants. And what I mean by that is that it has the same thumb as Grant. The inside finger compartment has that same felt, the same type of grip bar on the inside of the fingertip compartment. The same triple cuff, the same welted seams, the same really durable padding on the wrist. Actually, here you go. These are 12-ounce gloves. We see the same nice padding, same triple cuff. Look at the holes on the finger compartment. In terms of the thumb, look at that triple thumb. The thumb is pretty similar. So in terms of size, in terms of the padding itself too, look at this, soft. Now, the reason why I'm bringing this glove into this review is because this glove is close to $700 when I bought it. Okay, and this glove, like I said, I got for $200 with extra stuff. And when you get Grants, you can't get a cool colorway like this unless you want to spend over $1,000 easily. So just put that into perspective. You can get different colorways, all custom, cool, different colorways from New Sporting, and it could be like a custom glove at the end of the day for a fraction of the price. Now, New Sporting offers so many different types of gloves, it's crazy, and they're not all going to be $180 or $200. That's why I'm telling you that the actual price will fluctuate. So sometimes you'll see them for $280, sometimes they'll be on sale for $180. Sometimes they'll be on sale for $220. Sometimes, so all over the place. Get them at the right time, like I did. And you won't really regret it, because it's basically getting, like, in my opinion, it's like getting a nice pair of Grants for cheaper money. So if you're really into that kind of stuff, get this glove. This glove is comfortable. It has great feedback, great wrist protection. It does everything really great. Everything. It's one of my favorite 14-ounce gloves, and I have a pair of these in 16 that are horsehair, and I'm going to do a review on those because those are probably one of my top 3 gloves of all time. So New Sporting does a good job. I wish they did better on, obviously, this logo, because this logo does peel. But other than that, I think that these are, an A+ glove.